Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. My grace, He has granted us His mercy today. I hope you are too. Great. I just thought before I go to what I have for you, which money is clean money power on this earth that we are shopping?
Clean money.
And one who does not work should not eat. So the money, so we want to say that the money is clean when it comes to your hand and you feel that you have done genuine work to earn it. I am not saying this because I am supporting gambling. No, that one is completely out. But I'm just saying that even when you work, the money that is being used to pay you, do you know where it comes from? That is the point of my question. You have done genuine work and you are being paid. Do you know where that money is coming from to pay you? That is why I asked the question. Is there any genuine money on this earth? But that doesn't mean that I'm supporting gambling. No, that's what that one is out. Mm-hmm. And you have gone to do genuine work and he used the gambling money to pay you. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is the matter. You see the complex where we live in. That is the matter.
Money goes round and round.
Yes. That is the matter. So you can only take consolation in the fact that at least I know I am doing genuine work. Whatever you are getting the money to pay me is my back case. Me, I know I did genuine work before you are paying me. But I can't go and ask now, where did you get the money from before paying me? Yes. 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 Mm-hmm. 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 And you say you won't sell. You see, I went to do some accounting work, computerized accounting for somebody, and this person wants a receipt. I mean, he wants to be using a receipt in his office where after he's issued the receipt, in a few days' time, the ink will evaporate from the paper. You see the kind of way we live in. He wants the ink to evaporate from the paper so that the records will be off. I mean, why? So you look at this and you ask yourself, should you be doing business with this such a person at all in the first instance? And then how are you going to tell that this man is completely clean before you do business with that person? So we can only take consolation in the fact that, okay, me, I know I did genuine work. I can't think about how you got the money to pay me, if only that it is. But if I know that you are gambling, you are a gambler, and I want to say I don't want to use that money, it's like somebody who says, I don't want tobacco money, so I quit Pioneer Tobacco. That one is quit. So we are living in a very, very complex world. Yeah. Yo, good evening, listeners, and thanks once again for receiving us in your homes with your heart's love as we continue in our steps of keys to the kingdom. As usual, it's our great pleasure. We all understand we are studying together. When we have shared our thoughts, you also have the opportunity to share your thoughts, and we also learn something from you. Thank you very much. Etiefo ina makunya so echia obibia na edamase se enen so odo akumapa Moaji awa to mu fia betu aye adesua so na say I can be a the pass and ya jatun say yesua dia na nya kan ye di wi amu akunya sam kire mu adwe na so yesia bi afi mu nchen ere ma say bebre tie for ye be sua bibi kakra na we no em say hwe kasa no be ha me kakra enti me kan me se na maka brofo bebre na me di twi no be frɛ from kakra bi mom ba minim say twi no e be ha me e was afai enti man me anka na bebre na mo di ache me. Listeners, in today's session I want us to look about the subject matter of elemental life and push this to the corner to attempt to look at a question that was posed some years back and written into a little book. Is Mother Nature mad? Is Mother Nature mad? In our discussions in a session of ministers and their problems, we came up with a quotation that was referencing the elemental spirits. Whilst at that, I did a little detour and mentioned the issue of elemental life, and I tried to simply liken it or associate it with what can be easily understood in our local language as motia or dwarfs, even though it is not the same thing throughout the four elements. But I tried to make it easy to catch an idea. Representing these elements in Twi will be a bit rough for me, so I'm going to have to try and do much of the expression in English and make the effort to put some understanding across in the Akan language. As I indicated earlier, the direct interpretation of the text in scripture about elemental spirits takes different forms at the different sections of scripture where they were referenced, to the point where it's like every area of its use lends its own contextual meaning. Some understood them as the basic forces of life or basic laws. Some could not understand how come Paul is even making reference to that term in the that phrase in the first place. Call it, the Bible scholars have divergent views on what they how to pin down the interpretation of the elemental spirits. That put aside, I started off by giving the indication the previous time that there are creatures, what we call the nature spirit generally. There are creatures that attend to various aspects of nature. And this is not a question of whether you believe it as a Christian or not. It is a question of what nature provides and how we can get to understand it to our advantage. Is Mother Nature mad? This was a question posed several years back, far back as 1996, when a 90 miles per hour wind and heavy rain, snow pummeled the northwest, causing roofs to buckle, power lines to go down, and avalanches to block major highways. Then the news headline and the questions started popping up because people were seeing the kind of things happening. To summarize all that went on in those years, the cost of losses and the human lives displaced, simply the question that came up is, why are these things happening? Is Mother Nature mad? It is all because it gets difficult to understand what really was happening with all these disaster situations. So some people were called in to come and brainstorm as to what really was happening on the earth. And it happened that our messenger and leader, Elizabeth Clare Prophet, was also invited to give some thoughts on these happenings. And of course, the summary of her submission is the fact that these issues about the elemental life is what she has been teaching for several years, and it's not just because an incident has happened, so she is now coming to find an explanation. So we picked that just as a little background to what has happened in years back, and it is still happening around us. Disasters happening in various forms: bushfires, hurricane, tsunamis, landslides, volcanoes. I mean, they are happening all around us. We know that these things can happen as a result of our blatant physical abuse to the environment. However, we consider that that is only one side of the story. Just as many physical ailments have roots in the mind, in the emotions, and in karmic knots from the past, so do the ailments of nature. If we really want to understand the traumas playing out before us, we must look beyond the veil to the largely invisible burdens we have placed upon Mother Nature, beyond the outer symptoms to the inner cause of the pain. Whatever may be happening to us at any time in our lives, call it ailments or difficulties, while there is a physical manifestation, there is also a spiritual root cause. And with all the things happening around us, as tsunamis, as tornadoes, as volcanoes, and call it what you may, floods. Yes, we know there are floods being caused as a result of people building in waterways. That is true. But also, we also know that there are spiritual sides to some of the happenings around us. Drought is no exception. In the scheme of life, all created beings have a unique role to play. From the most distant stars to the smallest dewdrop, the universe is tended by invisible hands. Elohim, for instance, are the creators of life. Angels guide and guard us. And the nature spirits known in esoteric tradition as elementals, have the job of tending the forces of nature in the four elements. The nature spirits have left their footprints in the lore and legends of many cultures, where they are described as everything from playful fairies and sprites to mischievous elves and leprechauns to groomy gnomes. Most of us have never seen nature spirits. Most of us who are grown up, that is, many young children, because they have so recently come from the heavenly world, are deaf and therefore can see invisible realms with their inner sight, have in fact adopted these little folk as their imaginary playmates. So, the point in all this is for us to grasp the fact that God created various beings to play various roles in our lives. As we know about the Elohim and are calling on the Elohim to come to our assistance because we know the work the Elohim does, or we have been taught something about the Elohim, then we must say, equally so, we can say we have known about angels and we have been taught how to work with angels. But you can generally say that it is not commonplace that we are taught about nature spirits, which is known in esoteric terms as the elementals. As we go further, you get to know that there are elementals that handle the various aspects of the elements of nature, the four elements of fire, air, water, and earth. If you do believe that there is something called Elohim, excuse me, and you also believe there is something called angels, and you believe or get the understanding that we can work with Elohim and you can work with angels, then we are helping all of us to understand that there is also something called nature spirits, which we can equally work with. Somebody will say no, because we have come to see the use of or the play out of these nature spirits in a commonplace, as we see, call it the dwarfs or so forth. The mind we've got about them is about some evil actions. I want to say that somebody is going to court tomorrow and he thinks that there is an angel to call and the court case will be in their favor. Why do you think the court case will be in your favor and not in somebody else's favor? Are you going to call the angel and instruct the angel to do things in a manner as will favor you? Or you are going to call the angel and allow God's will to be made manifest in the affairs for which you are calling them to act? You have knife in your house. There is knife in your kitchen. There is a good reason for which you bought the knife. To use in your cooking chores. Probably some cutlass to weed the grass around. These same implements can be used also to kill, dependent on the consciousness of the person in whose hands these are. Does that make knife good or bad? The response there for me will be, it will be according to the intent of the person whose hand it gets into. You can call angels or claim to be calling angels and knowing that there are good angels and there are bad angels, and you can go and call a bad angel to go and kill for you, and the bad angel will go and kill for you. Does that make all angels bad? No. You are thinking that you are calling an Elohim, and at the same time that you know that Elohim is the power of creation, to you, you are calling on the Elohim to go and destroy somebody for you at your will. The Elohim of God will not go against God's will. But there is always an impersonation or an impersonator that will impersonate that energy and become an energy veil and do that evil, and you'll be thinking, oh, I called on God and this person died. Of course, life and death is in the hands of God. If by His will somebody needed to die, that is in His hand. But I'm saying here in this context that let us not think that because you have called an Elohim, an angel, and in this wise a nature spirit to do something for you and something ill gets done, you claim that you call on God and He did it. Let's zoom in here on the nature spirits. These nature spirits are such that they stand the great risk of being manipulated by our human influences or emotions. Even Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the brilliant creator of Sherlock Holmes, came to believe in the existence of these nature spirits or elementals. It all started in 1920 when he received in the mail 2 extraordinary photographs of fairies, supposedly taken by 2 young girls in the village of Cottingley, England. As Peter Thompson reports in his book, The Secret Life of Nature, Doyle at first thought these photos had to be a hoax, which Doyle, donning his Holmesian fore and art, determined to shatter. After extensive research, however, he was convinced that the photos and the fairies were genuine. Doyle pointed out, says Thompson, that in the rational world of physics, we see objects only within the very limited band of frequencies that make up our color spectrum. whereas infinite vibrations unseen by most humans exist on either side of them. That is saying, the fact that we are not seeing certain things with our physical eyes does not mean they don't exist. We are not seeing them simply because we are not vibrating at their level to see what they are. And this, what I'm sweating now, are some research works and people's findings that they have documented to help us to appreciate the fact that there are things around us that we do not see because they are vibrating at different frequencies from our normal sight frequency view or light spectrum. Now, having heard that, we want to get to this side before we take details of them one by one. It says, hour by hour and moment by moment, the elementals struggle valiantly to restore balance to an unbalanced world. The job of the elementals, the job of the nature spirits, are to maintain harmony of life, maintain the balance of life, and as we are creating the filth or the negativities, they have this task of trying to clean them up. When the weight becomes too heavy, they become burdened, tired, listless, just as we do when we are overworked. When the earth, air, water, and fire elements become supersaturated with pollution, when the burden upon the nature spirits becomes too heavy to bear, they are forced to literally convulse and shrug off the heavy weight. This can result in earthquakes, floods, tornadoes, hurricanes, and as a last resort, large-scale cataclysm. That's exactly what happened when Pompeii was buried under volcanic cinders and ash, and when thousands of years ago floods ravaged the continent and civilization of Atlantis. To draw a parallel, the same thing happens when someone you are in love with comes home and all of a sudden erupts like a volcano or explodes in a tirade as if a cyclone just hit. It's unexpected, and yet it's been building for a long time. So we see the person gets, it explodes. They've been carrying some burden even if it's been invisible to you. And the longer they have carried it, the more steam it has gathered. It's not so much that Mother Nature is mad, but that she is sad and weary. Like a mirror, she reflects back to us our own madness, our own craziness, because that is the only way she can get our attention. It is the only way she can shake us awake before it is too late. The question is, how long will it be before it is too late? All I've tried to portray so far is the fact that, yes, people have seen disasters going on the planet of various forms: tornadoes, tsunamis, earthquakes, landslides, bushfires, call it whatever it may. And we're saying, yes, we talk of human misbehaviors, putting burden on the environment. Yes, we are built in waterways, causing floods. But still beyond that, there is also this aspect of the ills we have created and how the nature spirits needed to clean the mess we created. And because we have put on too much burden on them, they are unable to handle. And then one day they say, well, this load is too heavy for me, take your thing. And then they throw it back to us. And therefore we are asking the question, is Mother Nature mad? Because we are only seeing nature bursting out in tsunamis and tornadoes and earthquakes. So what is happening to the earth before it is opening? That is what we are being told, that there are creatures that tend to all these natural creations, to nature, in the form of fire, air, water, and earth elements. Their job is to tend to them. And if we make their job difficult, they'll throw it back at us. And that happens to be some of the disastrous situation we have, for which some people are asking the question, is Mother Nature mad? We will take the various elements and their roles as assigned to them by God in the creation. We've said we know about the Elohim, we know about the angels. There is also the nature spirits. There is also the nature spirits. Once you're talking about the Elohim, you are talking about the angels. There is also the nature spirits. And if you go to the book of Ecclesiastes, it talks about the keeper of the house. The keeper of the house is the creature that has been created by God to take care of your physical body. It's an elemental form, a nature spirit that mends your physical body. And so it goes. Every creature has assigned elementals, be it of fire, air, water, and earth, that tends to them. For Sanya Mika, no, me say, baby, I do not mean to make a train be brave. Nanso, may you didn't mean Honama Bonu Tofa. And it's me can say, na me frɛ bibinum di bom sɛ motia na enye motia ne omudi ankasa nti ɔno nti na me mpɛ sɛ me kɔ no saa ayɛ na ama me kyehyeam no anko yie nti na me mpɛ sɛ me ka twe kasa no na abɔde ebinum wɔ hɔ a Nyankopɔn ayɛ a ɔmo hwɛ yeso ɛwɔ asase so na saa abɔde enum ebinum yɛ dwuma wɔ wiem, ebinum wɔ mframam, ebinum wɔ nsuom, ɛna ebinum wɔ dɔteɛ mu. Ne nyinaa ka bom ɛna yɛde yɛ adwuma ɛwɔ asase so. Na sɛ wanya ntiaseɛ sɛ bibi wɔ hɔ a wofrɛ no Elohim, na sɛ bibi nso wɔ hɔ a wofrɛ no angel a wofrɛ ɔmo didi dwuma no, saa nso na bibi wɔ hɔ a yɛfrɛ no nature spirits ewo ensua adesua mu no in esoteric terms omo frɛ no sɛ nature spirit no omo frɛ no elementals ebi wɔ ewim, ebi wɔ nsuom, ebi wɔ ejam, ebi wɔ dɔteam. Omo yɛ dwuma wɔ sa fane eyi ni nyinaa. Enti sɛ onya ntiaseɛ sɛ yɛwɔ bibi a yɛfrɛ no Elohim ɛna bibi nso wɔ hɔ a yɛfrɛ no angels a ni ma anya ntiaseɛ sɛ saa nso so na ye wo be a ye friend say nature spirits a mo hwe abode eswo na say tsunami eba na say asasi ewuswo ana say insuo eyiri ana de esibia ewo asasi so ayeka obi we kohwa osi na we de dos no na jama asasi ya waboda mu ana na say enye dam o na de wonum ne say sa body na nyankopon abo say onboa yen enhwe sa niema yisu ema yen ye ade a ye wo nsuo afa erja afa oja afa inframa afa doti afa say ya dwimo say ensa na ye bibi o ni ayaya enya bia no sa abode num na omo hwe a omo pepa enti say wo ho na say ye nyina ya dwimfi ene eri ye dwuma adwimfi no ene adiboni a ye dwin wo ya adwim no eye adesua ema sa abode num se ombe pepa omeyie fi ho se nia enha yen nanso se ekodosu ebro mu so a na omoto amayen omutuma ya enu enesi se my friend say atorenchem o se den aha onu na etisa enti atorenchem no emba ne keke bibi na esi ema no ba oho na ehia se ye nya santi ase efa na se nya santi ase no ansisa ye suban ansisa ye niye na se ye di adisano emma sa nature spirits no se omon pepa se bro muso a omutuma yen omupoma yen adjuster niema eko pum usi ye de say bola epu a etwa ye ho ehia no even nuclear waste ye dey share container am dey akoto kwase. That is a disposal form amufa na wenu no nyina no sa abode yi no na ehwe so se bibie nkosi na se bro mu so a hwe se nuclear waste usi ade no memfa no se shiw na ebe ka no na ebe explode a uri akɔhye nsuo ase na se kɔba no se nsuo no wie na se kɔba no se nsuo no susu eye hye na se kɔba no se dia odi akɔsi ho a wo kan se chensi na odi ahyem no aye tight entumi mbie da na se da bi ebue nuclear energy no ehye ase a eche me kan say untumi nsia no say what teacher be disaster up to today ngrofo still omu suffer efiche no be disaster enti sa na etie enye bola na ya prapra ye fie nu enye onu nkwa na ewopum o enye onu nkwa na ewopum debi enye onu nkwa na ewopum o se enya santi atia no enti se yedi nam e call ba ye nya anti ase se de e koso wo ye punu mu no o wo se ye bo hu ban na ya nkopa ka se ye pesikanti no mu de munsisa meko ye ya bubu ano ha se wo pumunti debi all over so waka bola ufie bola na waka wansem the person obisa won say anti nuclear plant na ye omoye djuma no waste bia ni ho na waste no omutu gu infa na omudi she ne nyinaa ɛka ho enti deɛ wo ma ne sɛ yɛni yɛ ɛma adesua no ɛdɔɔso ɛburu saa abɔdeɛ no mu na ɔmo ntumi nsɔ ano a ɔmo poma yɛn ɔmo poma yɛn ɔmo poma yɛn well wanya ayɛ na adomu ara ɔno nti na ɛsoro abɔfoɔ nom anasoro ahwemfoɔ asɛne mo asɛ ɔmo ba a ɔmo say hey problem yi na mo ankasa mo akɔ create mo akɔfa aba nanso yɛwɔ biribi anasɛ ano sie bi a yɛbɛtumi adi ama mo na tumi bi wɔ hɔ sɛ mo frɛ a ɛwɔ tumi sɛ etumi sisa saa nneɛma yi binom nneɛma yi ɛno na ɛgyina deɛ ɛhia ne sɛ wobɛgye atum na wafrɛ saa tumi no na wayɛ saa adwuma no because adjuster meka sɛ ɛsɛ ade these nature spirits sɛ yɛka motia ho asɛm mpo a sɛ nyɛ obia na ɔho ɔwani ade ho motia aha enti nneɛma bebree wɔ around a yɛn fa yɛn ni ehu ba ɛyɛ adwuma yes it works na biribia nso so no ɛyɛ energy ɛyɛ tumi saa tumi nso no ɛyɛ every energy is a vibration at a frequency okay enti no sɛnea wokɔ mɛfa no sɛ embassy bi area mu na wo phone yɛagya mu no saa nso so na yɛni yɛ biara no ɛyɛ frequency energy bi na acreate enti sɛ wonya a counteracting frequency to cancel it off saa deɛ no ɛbɛyi tumi ayi afiri hɔ na saa frequency no saa tumi no susu no ɔwɔ sɛ wofrɛ afi baabi ɔhɔ ɛna mɛka sɛ mpaebɔ bɛtumi ayɛ adwuma because the ascended masters came and they brought us the knowledge of the violet flame to transmute. Alchemy is about changing a base metal into gold. That is alchemy. Alchemy is about changing a base metal into gold. Something that is not worthy or worth, you change it into something worthwhile. That is what alchemy is all about. So in all that we teach, the key message the Ascended Master bring is the knowledge of the use of the violet flame so that we can call it forth for the transmutation, for the changing of these negative things that we ourselves have created in our lives. That is where I would say prayer works. You need to know what kind of energy to call forth into this. And the Ascended Masters have said, we have come to assist you in this time with the key of the action of the Holy Spirit in the use of the violet flame to do these transmutations. So if we can all get into the call of the violet flame to transmute the negatives in our lives, yes, we can have something to do. But we need to understand that all the filth we are creating, some creatures of God take care of them. But when they become overburdened by it, they will throw it back to us, and the consequences can take any form. It can be flood, it can be tornadoes, it can be earthquake, it can be landslides, call it what you may. So that is what I have to for today for us to start off on this issue of elemental life, and the question, is Mother Nature mad? We have just a few minutes, and we'll open the phone lines for maybe a question or two, or submission one or two, and then we will move ahead. Next week we will take it a bit deeper in steps. Today I've just given an overview for us to see what is at stake.
Okay, it's for when he's not here with me. Reverend, my is not here with me. If I let you watch it, for 0240358182. 0240358182. 0240358182. What you say? Guarantee by you to guarantee ye to you to or no so share nature to or share fast as also. Your money book one, and or no to book then your man and no air bar, deeper into son.
I just said, say, Oko crossing, I said, Oko Nsua, Riverside, no, that's Nsunia Fia. Once I walk it away, be said, on a Nsuno, so near Muya, Nisa, but you know, or Muna, Nsunity.
Yes, we lose our one. They come in group.
Yeah.
And also, no, Oga pensi anything. Zero 0240358182 Yes, sir. What did you turn off your friend? What's it? It's on me too.
Yeah, I just maybe BBM my name is say our WhatsApp on ocean disposal or radioactive waste. So now one who say some American on me and yes me be my no kekena maker near my area Google upon from radioactive waste. Nina ewo I say for say Emreno ya akọ I say 1 minute be anti afraid for be any line sure like I say ye di besi ha na next week no ye be etiaso akom na ya sunsua these nature spirits the various elements and their duties to perform for us. Church Universal and Triumphant. Yasue ewo Adenta SDA Junction. Yebe mami dokuno eskumo ehwa. Me number ye 020 812 5078. 020 812 5078. Eramasi bebre dasende nyamiya doma yebesa ashebio. Let me see.